Welcome to Rose-Hulman's Tuesday night live video chat. Tonight's topics are mechanical engineering and civil engineering. My name is Kim Lund. I'm an assistant director for admissions at Rose-Hulman, and I will be your host for this evening's festivities. We will start with mechanical engineering first, and then we will switch around 7:30 to civil engineering. Right now, I have with me Dr. Onyancha and one of his favorite students, Will Gohagan. Nice to have you guys here. Can you guys introduce yourselves and give us a little bit of information about Rose-Hulman to start us off?
Sure. Will, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So, as mentioned, my name is Will Gohagan. I'm a current junior mechanical engineer here at Rose-Hulman. I'm also pursuing an aerospace concentration, math minor, and a master's in mechanical engineering. So a few things I do around campus. I give tours. So if you toured the school, you might have seen me at some point. I'm also on the Mechanical Engineering Student Advisory Board, where we work with professors as well as students to try and make our department better, both in terms of like coursework and how we manage that, as well as just like making sure all the students are bonding and working with faculty and getting to know each other. I'm in a service fraternity. I run cross country and track here, and I do some research around campus too.
Nice.
Thank you. And my name is Richard Onyancha. I'm currently serving as the department head. I've been at Rose for the last 18 years now. My area of specialization is in statics, mechanics of materials, manufacturing systems, but I also, have taught other classes in the department. So I'm really excited to be here tonight and look forward to telling you about the great department that we have.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you. It's so nice to have you here tonight. All right. So when students signed up for this tonight, they sent us some questions in advance. So I'm just going to kind of tick down those. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. So the first question someone asked is, what other engineering areas are taught under the mechanical engineering umbrella? I know around here we tend to refer to them as concentrations and as minors. So go ahead.
So we have quite a few concentrations. Those are sort of like focus areas within the department, starting with the aerospace concentration. And then we have the automotive concentration that's looking at not just IC engines, but now we're getting into electric vehicles as well. So that's a very exciting one. We've got CAD concentration, computer-aided design concentration. You have a thermofluids concentration. And then you also have some minors that are of interest. Now, minors are cross-disciplinary. So we have a materials minor, we have a robotics minor, and we also have minors from other majors. For example, you could take a minor in computer science or data science or electrical engineering. So it's a long list of areas that you could focus in if you choose to do that.
You could also even minor in some different general education or HSSA courses, which are more focused on like the humanities side of things too. So if you're interested in like English or political science or religion, stuff like that, you can minor in those as well.
That's really good to know. I think people think it's a small private STEM university. I think they'd be surprised to know how many outside of STEM things they could continue to do here.
Right.
Awesome. When someone asked, when do students at Rose-Hulman, when do they need to pick their major and how does that work? And what if they change their mind on their major?
So typically, most students, when they come into Rose, they come into a program. You've declared that you're coming into mechanical engineering. Now, you don't have to, because you can come in as undeclared. However, what we suggest from ME is that have a discussion with your academic advisor as soon as you're able to, so that they can get a sense of where you would like to go, and they can advise you appropriately on the classes that you need to take that might help bridge. If you choose to say start off with mechanical engineering, but you really are thinking about electrical engineering, I might advise you to take one or two classes that can be counted in both programs to make your decision, say by the end of the first year, a lot easier and not quite as costly. So you come in into a program for most students, but you can come in as undeclared, and we can help guide you to make a decision that works for you.
Right. And then also, I believe part of the question was like, when do you have to make that decision by? And I know that there are some people I've talked to, including like sophomores or juniors, who have even switched majors, which is pretty far down the line, but you're able to do it because all the majors here are STEM focused, so they share a lot of the same prerequisite courses.
Excellent. Nice to know. I think one thing that's interesting for students to know that makes Rose-Hulman unique is when we admit a student for one major, we admit them for all majors.
Yeah, right.
So when students here change majors, it's literally just a paperwork drill.
Mm-hmm.
There's no application. So I think that's awesome. Is it possible for a student to get a minor with that engineering degree? For example, can mechanical engineers also minor in materials or physics?
The short answer is yes, absolutely. In fact, we've created a program in such a way that you can do that without any complications very easily. It fits into your 4-year plan, and you don't even have to take extra classes if you're just doing one minor. Now, many of our students end up doing not one, two, but quite a few. So it's possible, yes.
All right, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
What are some minors that you've seen people do? Well, I know you kind of mentioned the HSSA. What's the most popular minor to go with mechanical engineering? Just out of curiosity. Is there anything that stands out?
Most popular, I would say, would be the robotics minor. And then there's a bunch of the humanities, social science, and the arts minors. Those you'd be surprised at how popular they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. What languages do we teach here at Rose-Hulman? Is it possible to minor in a language?
Yes, you can. We teach German and Japanese, okay, and Spanish.
Fantastic. Yes. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next student asked me a question, asked me this. What kind of career outcomes do students at Rose-Hulman have when they study mechanical engineering?
Oh boy.
Go ahead. All right. I'd say generally like mechanical engineers, I like to think of them as like they can do anything. So we have a lot of different outcomes in terms of like where you want to go. So this kind of plays into with the minors and concentrations. You can go into aerospace, automotive, manufacturing, designing parts, so like product design, or like the creation of parts themselves. So there are a lot of different opportunities and avenues that you can go to, definitely.
Yeah, and you could even choose to go to medical school or law school. So it's a pretty broad pathway.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Do you know very many students who go on to maybe law school or medical school?
Yeah, so we have about 10% of our students who end up going to graduate school. That includes law school, med school, and so on.
Excellent. Yeah. That's interesting.
So,
I didn't know that. How about double majoring? Is it possible to double major at Rose-Hulman? And what kinds of things have you seen people pair with mechanical engineering as a second major?
All right. So the answer is yes, you can double major. I've actually had students double majoring and even taking master's program to finish. So yes, you can double major. The kind of combinations that seem to be popular, but this is not restrictive. You've got mechanical engineering, computer science, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, engineering design, mechanical engineering. So it's really it's possible, and all you need to do is work with your academic advisor to make sure that your degree plan fits together.
Is it common for students to double major at Rose-Hulman?
Yes.
Yeah.
The numbers are going up.
Interesting. Yes. Okay. All right. How about this one? The student's asking, what kind of careers require a mechanical engineering degree? So what do the careers look like?
So as Will said, you can go into many different areas, many different types of industries. If, say, for example, you go into the aerospace field, there are many things that you could be doing there as an engineer. You could be doing the design of the aircraft or just some particular aspect of the craft. You could be doing the manufacturing of the craft. So really, it's any aspect or anything that needs manufacturing has a mechanical engineering hand at some point along the path. Okay, and that's not just for aircraft. It's really for anything that's made, that's produced. There is a mechanical engineering hand somewhere along the line, and that's why we say it's really broad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. What type of facilities are available for students, and how quickly do kids have, or students at Rose-Hulman have access to those facilities?
So you want to
Yeah.
short of that?
So I guess if we're talking about like just general student use, I think some of the big ones, there's career services. We have a student recreation center that is open from 6 a.m. until midnight most days, so it's always good to stay healthy there. We have several different cafeteria services which are open throughout the day. There's our student union, which is open the entire day. Let's see what else there is. We also have 2 innovation centers on our campus as well, the Brenham Innovation Center and the Kramer Innovation Center. And those ones are where we have a whole lot of clubs who are working really hard all throughout the year in order to work on their projects, and it's a great place to gain experience.
Yeah. And to add on to that, we've got labs and shops where students get to do some of their classwork as well. So I think we have most of the resources that you need to be able to not only complete your program well, but also do some of these other extracurricular activities that really enhance, your skills as a budding engineer.
Okay, thank you. This student is asking, what do students at Rose-Hulman need to score on their AP tests to get college credit? Do you guys know?
Yeah. It's typically a 4 or a 5.
Very nice.
See?
Yeah, 4s and 5s. 4s and 5s will transfer to Rose-Hulman. Okay. How approachable are professors at Rose-Hulman?
Well, you can clearly see that we're sitting, Will is sitting right next to me, and that's because, we work together. We expect our students come and visit and talk to us because our primary, goal is to work with them to make sure they succeed. And because, if you look at our mission, it says we want to produce the world's best, in my case, mechanical engineers in an environment of individual attention and support. And we can only do that if we are open and approachable and train our students, to come and talk to us.
Right. From my own personal experience too, I've emailed professors at all times throughout the day, even at like midnight, and I've gotten responses back. I've been invited to lunch a couple of times with professors, so that's always really enjoyable. And they're always open to just like discuss whatever. It doesn't even have to be course related.
All right. So we are saying professors are pretty accessible here at
Now we
Rose-Hulman.
try to tell them not to be responding to emails at midnight, but you can see.
I just think it's interesting because I'm glad, Will, that you were here to answer the question, because it's always good to get that from the student's perspective. But Will, you were literally sitting here laughing. You were sitting next to the department head from mechanical engineering here at Rose-Hulman. Yes. So yes, that's pretty awesome. Pretty cool to watch. The next question is, we're going to go double back to something we asked just a minute ago. Can you give some examples of research lab work which freshmen have or can engage in, particularly applicable to human health?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So many of the things that we actually do in research do have some impact on human health. in engineering as a profession in general. More specifically, in terms of what we do in the department, we've got some prosthetic type research that is conducted by one of our professors. We had one professor who was doing breast cancer detection research, which is straight up um, uh, human health impact. And then we have others who are in product design, so you're designing products that are going to be used by people. So yeah, it's we have examples. Now, the one thing I would say that is unique about our research experiences here is that faculty do not have, in essence, their own research agenda. The agenda is dictated by faculty and student interest. So if a student has a passion for some particular research, many of our faculty will go out of the way to, pair with that student to work on that project. So it's not limited to what we are currently doing. Okay, it's always evolving based off of those two things, faculty interest and student interest. Okay.
All right, excellent. I have another student kind of adding on to this. It's an add-on question. He states his goal is to work in the biomedical pharmaceutical industry. However, he does not want to fully major in biomedical engineering, as he would like to keep the versatility and options that mechanical engineering offers. His question is, how can he include some classes that involve biomedical engineering in his mechanical engineering degree?
So you can do one of two or three things actually. One is you can double major if you want, especially if you bring in enough credits, or you could do a major and a minor, or you could in the mechanical engineering program we have quite a few electives, technical electives that you can choose, to speak to that particular interest. Now, you just need to make sure that you meet the prereqs for the classes in the BE department. But we have had students doing that all the time, and that would be the easiest. Okay, the other one would be, double major. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, it's possible.
All right. And then this might be for Will. We'll see. What is normally the hardest part of mechanical engineering at Rose? What we're getting at specifically is, how is the day-to-day workload on average?
Okay. Yeah, I can answer this one. I think so. The way that I see it is, when you first come here as a freshman, the big thing the school tries to help you with is like teaching you the skills you need to be an engineering college student. And that involves like time management, good sleep, good health, like having open conversations with other people, like be involved with the school community. I say the more that you take that advice, the better things will be. I found that, yeah, definitely the workload can be pretty intense. There are some days where, maybe going to bed might be pretty nice, but sometimes you have to get a project done. I will say though, I've never had like a full all-nighter here. I've always made sure I can get enough sleep for the night. But like generally, there are a lot of support structures here in place if you ever need help with anything, so that you aren't spending too much time struggling. Like the whole goal is that you work hard, and sometimes like you make mistakes, but you learn from them, and that's how we become better engineers. And I think that Rose does a very good job of making sure that we have those systems in place to encourage that kind of learning.
Good.
Yeah. So the one thing I would add to that is a student learning to ask for help.
Yep.
Early. Don't wait, until you spend a whole day trying to solve a problem. Ask for help and being comfortable to do that.
Mm-hmm. And who do students ask for help from?
Oh, that's a great question. So you start off with your instructors, the professors. Okay, that's your number one go-to resource. And then we have a learning center that's staffed by students who've taken those same classes and have passed them very well, and therefore they can help you. And we also have, especially for the sophomore students, we have what we call sophomore tutors who help with those specific classes. So there's a lot of help, but you do need to go take advantage of that help.
Right.
Okay. All right, excellent. Oh, what organizations do most Rose-Hulman students receive internships and job offers from? And then, as an add-on, are there major research partners? So
For mechanical
internships, yeah.
engineering, internships, co-ops, it's really all sorts of companies. There are many. I could give you a list of 50, 60 in any one year, ranging from the very large 500 Fortune 500 companies to startups, like we said. Now, in terms of major research collaborators, now we're not a research one school, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said earlier, the research that we conduct is really based off of two things: faculty interest and student interest, and therefore, it tends to be on a smaller scale, but more targeted. Okay, so from the mechanical engineering department, I would say, I'm trying to think about who our major research collaborator would be. No, we work with different people because, like I said, these are disparate interests, and we are not reliant on one particular funder. So I think that gives us a lot of leeway, not to be beholden to just one party, for collaboration. So
Yeah. I'll say, just as a random side note, this past summer I was doing research with Penn State University, and I actually got that research position because Dr. Nyacha sent out an email about it too.
Nice.
So I guess there are positions open even outside of just a standard internship that do incorporate those research aspects too.
Outstanding. Good to know.
Yep.
What's this Rose-Hulman Ventures thing I've heard of?
Rose-Hulman Ventures. So that is it's a part of campus that takes in projects from industry and other stakeholders, and employs our students to actually solve or work on those projects. Ventures is manned by qualified engineers who work as project managers, who are actually the ones who supervise our student working on those projects. So our students end up getting not just the money, which they do get, but a lot of other skills that go around that, including just working skills. Like you say, you're going to be there for 2-3 hours, you're there and you're being productive. And they also learn about, they apply a lot of the knowledge that they cover in classes in those projects, and they're able to bring back that experience to our classes as well. So it's really a part of campus that we find very useful in terms of helping our students gain a lot of hands-on, actual industry level type projects.
Nice to know. What does the process look like if I want to apply for that double major that we talked about earlier? What's that process look like?
So the process is basically start the discussion with your academic advisor, because every student has an academic advisor. So once you have your primary major all planned out, you need to talk to the second major department head, who will help you, create a plan that now incorporates both programs in a way that is as efficient as can be, because that's the idea. There's some classes that can double count, and others that you might need to fill in a course substitution form for. So working together, between these two departments, you're covered.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's really easy.
yeah, that's interesting because what you're saying without saying it is it's not an application.
No.
It's just working with your advisor to figure out how to add those majors on there.
Correct.
That's really
Correct.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, how many classes use teaching assistants? How does that work? The teaching assistant at Rose-Hulman.
So teaching assistants at Rose-Hulman are, I would say, more closely, they should really be named lab assistants. Whenever you're in class learning a subject, you are learning from the professor directly. Our classes are typically like about 25 students in size. So it makes it a lot easier for the professor to be able to answer questions in person, and I guess like directly interact and work with the students. So for the teaching assistant side of things, there are a few courses for mechanical engineers that use them. I know there's graphical communications as well as computer programming, because those courses incorporate a little bit more like individual work time inside of them, where you're trying to type up a MATLAB script or design something in SolidWorks. So the teaching assistants kind of serve as helpers for the professor to go around and answer questions throughout the room during work time.
But the classes are not taught by the teaching assistants.
The professor is there all the time. You just need an extra hand to help, with the hands-on piece.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Excellent. How well do Project Lead the Way courses or VEX Robotics or FIRST Robotics prepare students for Rose-Hulman's ME curriculum? Do you know? Did you have experience with that, Will?
Actually, yeah, I was in FIRST Robotics.
Go ahead.
So from my own experience, I think it was hugely helpful, just because in those kinds of programs, you're working in teams with different disciplinaries or different disciplines. So one of the things that I did when I was in FIRST Robotics was I modeled a lot of the parts in SolidWorks. So when I came here, I found my graphical communications course to be pretty fun and enjoyable. But I think it also puts you in the right mindset too. Like, you have this experience working on these kinds of projects, and you can begin to see like the more in-depth applications from your coursework as to like, oh, maybe we could have designed these parts like this to account for like, I don't know, structural effects or something like that.
Yeah. So I fully agree. And just to add on to what Will said, the mindset is really an important piece to this. So while we may not approve transfer of Project Lead the Way credits to Rose-Hulman, at least for the ME department, while we may not do that, the mindset and the experience that you obtain from these programs, you will find it extremely useful in more ways than we can list here. So if you have an opportunity, go have fun with them, and you'll thank me later.
Maybe we thank you now. Excellent. Do you see any particular aspects of the ME program evolving slightly or substantially over the next few years?
Yes, I mean, so there's certain things that are constant, thinking about the basic principles, those that don't really change. And then you come to the elective portions, of courses and so on. The electives are changing based on faculty interest, changing technology, with the industry changing. So those are constantly changing. And then the other piece is, you've got new areas that are just coming in. AI, for example, machine learning. We have to respond to that because, the workplace that our students are going to graduate into has all of those tools now. So right now, as we speak, we are looking at ways to craft a response, whether that means creating an elective class in machine learning, or maybe finding some way to introduce an experience. The latest example I can give is for the electric vehicles. Okay, so in the last I would say probably about 4 years, we've gone through and created a number of courses that speak specifically to that. There's a modeling, an XEV modeling class. There's chemistry of batteries class, and a number of others that have come on. And then we also have experiences outside of the class that speak to that, which have also come online. And I'm thinking here about the Battery Workforce Challenge, which is a competition team where Rose is one of 12 universities across the country that are competing in this very exciting competition. And so far, I think we've been doing extremely well. The latest numbers I had were, we're doing about probably about number 4, on the latest competition. So my point is that engineering is constantly evolving, and we try to respond to that, because remember, our mission is to try and produce the world's best mechanical engineers, and we can't do that if we are not keeping an eye on what's changing.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, one last question before we switch from mechanical engineering to civil engineering. So this is our last question. It's a good one. Okay. They've all been good questions, but we're ending on a doozy. What's the difference between mechanical engineering and engineering design, both in terms of curriculum and future job opportunities? Are you guys able to field that?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Unless you want to.
I guess I know a little bit more from the ME side. I have more experience there, but I think that the big difference I've heard between the two is that mechanical engineering is very broad in terms of like the physical engineering side of things. I've heard from engineering design that it's a bit more inclusive of like different kinds of disciplines. So like they'll sometimes work with electrical components or mechanical design. They also look more specifically into like product focus work. Whereas with mechanical engineers, it's very broad in terms of like the applications. Like we said, there's aerospace, you could go into control systems manufacturing. Like it provides you with a good base for like any sort of discipline inside of just the ME field.
Okay.
Yeah. So I fully agree. So the way I like to think of it is mechanical engineering is a big boat. Engineering design is an aspect of mechanical engineering. So, with enough time and resources, you can take engineering design in all sorts of different directions. But yeah, we work together fairly closely.
Okay, excellent. Good to know.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Onyancha and Will, for being with us tonight. We're going to go ahead, everyone, and take a short 60-second break, and we will come back with Dr. Hansen.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
All right. See ya.